Some guy in Utah named Austin, I think.
Howdy, folks. What's going on? This is the Outlaw Hatfield back at you one more time. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a little bit of a fun show tonight. We're going to be doing a bracket, much like Matt did over on his channel tonight. We are going to be discussing the greatest wrestling managers from the 80s and mid 90s, that little era right there. And there is this disclaimer that I'll put out there at the beginning. Not all these managers in that time period are on the list. I didn't want to be here till 2 o'clock in the morning doing this bracket. So I've narrowed it down to 16 of some of the best managers that I could think of. And I ran it by Sarge, and he okayed it. He figured it was a pretty good list. So, before we go any further, let's do a roll call. See who's out on the YouTube side at the moment. We have John Z. Calavarius. Kinky, how you doing, brother? Psycho's out there. Roosted's out there. We ain't got a whole lot out there right now. There's more than that. There's just nobody saying anything. Guys, if you don't type, I can't see you. And probably gun channel sides, not very many. Pants is over our general relativity. And you are all very welcome. Thank you all for being here. Now let's get into what I've got started of a panel. Hopefully there'll be more showing up in a few minutes. The Crazy Scotsman is here. How are you, sir?
Sorry.
Yes, Scotsman. That would be you. You're the Crazy Scotsman. You're the guy from, across the pond. We will get back to the Crazy Scotsman. Apparently, he's having some technical difficulties.
Can you hear me now?
Sarge? No, we got you. There he is.
My computer I'm not even going to get started. It's been one hell of a day. That's all I can say. If I say anything else, it's going to be cuss word after cuss word after cuss word after cuss word. And Sarge will probably just absolutely shit a brick if I just go on. So I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invite, as always, and appreciate you.
See, we're on somebody else's show. We just can't do that on mine.
Oh, I know, but literally it'd just be splur after splur after splur, and it just would never end.
You've had one of those days, haven't you, buddy?
I cannot even tell you, man, because if I do, I'm just gonna get pissed off.
We will talk after the show. Sarge, how about you, sir? How are you?
I'm good. Good. Worked a little side gig today. Just kind of did my thing, and gotta go back to work tomorrow night. So I'm happy to be here. I'm looking forward to this one. Anytime we get to talk wrestling, I'm happy.
Yeah. Well, you missed the tag team thing we did.
I did. That aggravated me, but I just couldn't help missing that one.
What did you watch it?
I have not caught back up with it. I skimmed through it, and because there was a spoiler, and I heard who won. So,
well, I'm still sure you're still not over that whole Ric Flair debacle.
Yeah, I'm still inconsolable over that.
Yeah, well, I was with you, man. I think Ric Flair should have come out on top, but Ricky Steamboat wasn't a bad first place.
It was Roddy Piper that won.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It was Roddy Piper. What am I thinking? Because at the end it was Roddy and Steamboat, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. Lord. Well, still, Roddy's not bad. Flair, Steamboat, Roddy. As long as it wasn't Hogan, I'm happy. As long as it wasn't Hogan, I'm happy. Gary, how are you?
I am good, sir. Thank you for the invite.
You're very welcome. What you got going on today? Anything special?
I had a fun day at work. That's always special.
Well, anything interesting happen?
I got chased down by a killer wasp. That's about it. Got into our building. Second time in 2 days.
Okay, how do you get chased down by a killer wasp? This is a story that I want to hear before we go any further.
We're in the top floor of a warehouse, and evidently were close enough to the edge of the building where over the years birds had gotten up in the ceiling and built nests. So they had to go in and do some cleanup about a month ago. And they still don't have all the ceiling tiles put up yet because they've got some insulation left to stick up there. And evidently the wasp are getting in through the open ceiling tile. To make a long story short.
So you have me worried there. When you say you've had a bad day and you work in a nuclear facility, that makes people sweat a little bit.
Well, you'd hear on the news if it was anything like that.
Maybe. They might want to keep that crap quiet. Hey, look.
Well, it's in the middle of Kansas. Nobody would know. I mean,
yeah, you're screwed.
But anyway, let's get back on the topic at hand. We are talking about professional wrestling managers. Sarge, let me ask you, since you are the second resident expert here, when it comes to professional wrestling managers, who stands out to you most from that period of time that we are discussing tonight?
Talking 80s and 90s. And see, all my experience is going to be in the Southeast, just a little bit with the WWF at the time. You know, in the Southeast, it would be, I mean, Jim Cornette, Paul Jones, James J. Dillon, probably one of the better ones, and then any of the various blonde ones that they had in NWA, whether it be, you know, Baby Doll, Sunny, Precious, any of those.
Yep.
Then up north, I think, is Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yeah, well, yeah, Bobby's always going to be on any list like this. He has managed some of the greatest wrestlers in the last 30 years. Andre, Rick Rude, Ric Flair. The list goes on and on and on. And you will see that some of the names on this list have not managed a whole lot of people. But the ones they did manage, and let me show you the bracket before we go any further. The ones that they did manage were guys that really made an impact on the business. And when I say impact, I mean they stood out. They made themselves a legacy within the wrestling business. As you can see, we have Bobby Heenan, Captain Lou Albano, Mr. Fuji, Paul Ellering. I'm sure everybody knows who Paul Ellering is. If you don't, he was the guy that managed the Road Warriors for all those years. Teddy Long, another guy who hadn't had a whole lot of people under him, but the guys he did have were top stars. Ron Simmons, Butch Reed, several others. Woman. What can you say about her? She started off as in a little skits on a Saturday night with Rick Steiner being his so-called nerdy girlfriend. Turns out that she was a mastermind behind causing them much pain and heartache in the end. She managed people like Harlem Heat, Doom, others that really stood out. J.J. Dillon, famous for being the backbone of the Four Horsemen. Paul Heyman, also known as Paul E. Dangerously, when he first started. Believe it or not, when he first started, he had something in common with another one of the guys on this list. He had a tag team called the Midnight Express. They called themselves the Real Midnight Express. The Midnight Express mainly wrestled in the NWA Memphis area, whereas Paul Lee was USWA, somewhere in that area, if I'm not mistaken. But when the Real Midnight Express and the Midnight Express finally got on TV together, it caused a huge explosion. Great matches came from that. Some very good matches. On the other side, we have Miss Elizabeth, and everybody knows who she managed. Randy Savage mostly, and a little bit of time with Hulk Hogan. Classy Freddie Blassie. Some of you guys might not remember him, but he also managed Hogan for a little bit and some other very popular heels. Jim Cornette. Um, what can you say about him? He is a world class wrestling manager. He took the Midnight Express to heights that was unbelievable, especially for the '80s. He was right there with the Midnight Express and the Road Warriors when it come to a tag team situation in the '80s. And he was the top. And I will say this, even above James J. Dillon, and I love James J. Don't get me wrong here, but I think Jim Cornette was the premier NWA manager at that time. He had the mouth on him. He knew how to work. He did the job, and he was an excellent person for getting the fans to absolutely hate his team. The next guy on the list is Gary Hart. Gary Hart has managed at one point in time just about everybody in the business, I think. Kevin Sullivan was involved with Gary Hart. The Great Muta, Cactus Jack, Terry Funk for a little while, if I'm not mistaken. He had a bunch of them. Sid Vicious was there. Moving on down, we have number one, Paul Jones. Now, this is going back early 80s. Paul Jones was a guy that was running around about the same time the original Four Horsemen. He had great big feuds with guys like Boogie William Man, Jimmy Valiant. He actually went head to head with the Horsemen from time to time. Went up against Dusty Rhodes. His guys included the likes of the Barbarian, the Warlord. Superstar Billy Graham was one of his guys for a little while. Another guy below him, very famous, made famous, or more famous, I should say, by taking the name Paul Bearer in the WWE as The Undertaker's manager. What more needs to be said?
Hold on, real quick. And since we're not on Sarge's channel, I can say whatever the fuck I want to say. Did you really just say they below you that they below that person?
Yeah, that's what I said. On the list, on the bracket, he is right below Paul Jones.
So he blowed Paul Jones.
Yes, on the bracket.
I just want to clarify, make sure.
Yeah, well, you're an idiot, and we're moving on. Skandar Akbar. Another one of those heel managers that had just a ton of very well-known managers under him. Hey, Lord, I couldn't even begin to name all the guys that I remember him managing. Some of them I've already mentioned. I think Dan Spivey was there for a while, wasn't he, Sarge?
I always remember him with the foreign wrestlers that he had.
Yeah, he had a lot of them too. But he had a few of the American guys. Didn't he also do Iron Sheik?
I don't remember. I honestly don't.
Jimmy Hart. We're moving on to Jimmy Hart. Jimmy Hart, what can you say? He's managed Hulk Hogan. He's managed the Hart Foundation, which included Bret Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Lord, the list goes on with Jimmy. You go back even earlier in his career, and he was with guys like Jerry Lawler and Bill Dundee and Lord, all the names of these wrestlers from the past just keep popping up, and Jimmy was right there with them. I mean, he was there in Mid-South and that area in Memphis, and making a name for himself. And he wasn't the same Jimmy Hart then that you've seen in the WWE. Yeah, it took him a while to get to that point, but when he finally got there, man, he was on fire because everybody knows the guys that he was wrapped up with in the WWE just took him to the top, or he took them there. And that's the bracket for the night, guys. And like I said, some of these guys you probably don't know, never heard of. Guys like me and Sarge, Scotsman, Gary, we're older and, you know, been watching this stuff for pretty much our whole lives. So that is what it is. And there's 4 of us in the room, so I don't think we're going to have too many issues, but we might get a tie. If we get a tie, then we will find somebody out in the audience to be the tiebreaker. And let's see. Bill Dundee, the crocodile hunter? No, he wasn't a crocodile hunter. Bill Dundee was a professional wrestler, and he's Australian. He is definitely Australian. But he mainly wrestled in the NWA, the Memphis area, some of the WCCW, I think. He had some hellacious feuds with Jerry Lawler and guys like that. A great wrestler. He wasn't one of the bigger guys. I think it was like 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah.
He was short, but he could go, and he was strong as a damn ox. He was picking up people weighed 3 times as much as he did and slamming them. So, and Bill Dundee was a guy that I met back in 2000 and I think it was 11 or 2012. And just totally by accident at a KFC of all places. Me and a friend of mine were in there, and he got to talking to me about something. And I looked at him and I said, you look real familiar. And the guy that he was with said, well, do you know who Bill Dundee is? I said, the wrestler, yeah. And then it hit me. You're Bill Dundee. He says, yeah. And I said, wow, okay. Now I know. I hadn't, he'd been out of the spotlight for so long that it just didn't click. But I remember watching this guy on TV, and this cat could go. He short, low center of gravity, and just take your legs right out from under you, and had one of the best punches in the business. He had one of the absolute greatest wrestling punches of all time. And we could go on a whole show just talking about the best punches in wrestling. And Bill Dundee would have to be right up there in the top 10. Probably the top 5. So, Gary, what do you think about the bracket? I mean, how do you think this is going to pan out?
I'm just not real sure how it's going to end. All depends. I mean, we're going to have a lot of ties, I think.
Yeah, well, I think there's going to be a few.
Yeah, we have 4 people.
Yeah.
It's assured.
Yeah, we have 4 people. I've got more links out, but nobody's showing up. So
I think the chat might decide a lot of this. And you don't know what way they're going to go.
I say, surely a couple of these know enough about wrestling to jump in.
Midnight.
Well, let's find out. If any of you guys out there in the chat would like to get in here to even things out, 1, 2 of you, whatever, 3.
Oh, roll call, get in here.
Roll call, get your ass in here.
Well, somebody send roll call a link because I don't have roll call's email. I don't think.
I will take care of this.
I'm on it. I'll send.
Oh, you got it.
I'm on it.
So we'll get roll call in here. Let's see. Anybody else want in here? Yeah, we can get
a show of hands in the chat.
We'll get Slim in here and one more. How about that? So if any one other person out there wants to jump in on this, let me know, and I will get you a link sent.
Who wants in? Say so.
Speak now, forever hold Gary's peace.
You can be famous.
I wouldn't go that far.
There he is.
Hey, but
wrestling? Are we talking about wrestling? I'm ready to wrestle. I got my cutoff shirt on. I'm ready to wrestle. Come here, Sarge. Let me wrestle you.
Speaking of that, guys, I'm up over 300 subs, and how that happened, I have no clue. This time last week, I had 260. Tonight, I'm at what, 312, I think.
Oh, you're catching up with me.
Yeah, quick. Yeah, I had 312 subs. So, guys, I appreciate that. Thank you all very much.
Rich White, you want in?
It's the wrestling chats. That's what's doing it.
Apparently, you guys have no taste, so you watch my shit. But that's fine. I like tasteless folks. You know, me and Gary are both tasteless. We were just on Matt's chat, so
Yeah.
So which that was a clusterfuck.
If we could just get Yankee in here.
Yeah, well, I sent him a link. If he wants to show up, he can. My door is always open to anybody. You know that. I don't mind letting anybody in here. I've had Biker Bob, for crying out loud. So it is what it is. Well, let's get this show started. Let's get the bracket going. We are going to start this thing off right now with Bobby Heenan and Captain Lou Albano. And we are going to start with the Scotsman. Who do you go with, Scott?
Well, I'm gonna lie. I'm at a slight disadvantage. I don't know all the managers. I knew a lot of the wrestlers, so I was okay on that. But I really don't know a whole lot of the actual managers. So I give my vote to Sarge.
That'll work. Sarge?
Let's see. I was typing something. Who are the first two choices? Mr. Fuji and who?
No, it was Bobby Heenan. It was Bobby Heenan.
I don't need to hear anything else. I don't need to hear anything else. Bobby Heenan.
Okay. Roll call.
Lou Albino.
Okay, Gary.
Bobby Heenan.
And I would have to go with Bobby as well. So that means Bobby is moving on in the bracket.
He's like a 2 or 3 seed. He's up there.
Yeah, he's one of the greats.
Yeah, I got my chart out now. I'm on
it. Next on the list is, this is going to be an interesting one, I do believe. Let me screen share here. People tend to get upset when they can't see the bracket. Next is Mr. Fuji and Paul Ellering. Both great managers, one mainly in the WWE, the other mainly in the NWA scene in the mid-'80s. And we're going to start with the Scotsman again.
Damn. Start with me again. Shit. All right. Who was that again?
You're there. Well, it's Paul Ellering and Mr. Fuji.
I'm going to go Mr. Fuji.
Mr. Fuji.
Ooh, interesting.
Oh, that is actually. Oh, what am I doing? I'm typing it in here.
I'm going to say only one person gets
It's because it's rigged like the last one.
Yeah.
No, it ain't rigged. It ain't rigged.
Slim Jim.
Predetermined.
Sarge?
I'm going at Precious Paul Ellering. He was a very, very interesting guy. He was a dang good wrestler too.
Yeah, and he is known as one of the smartest individuals that has ever been in the wrestling business.
Smart and or mentally unstable. I don't know which one.
Well, there's a fine line between genius and insanity. So
yeah.
Roll call. Roll call.
I'm going to pick this guy because, 1, I know who he is, and 2, he makes a great water. Mr. Fuji. Mr. Fiji.
Okay, well, we'll let you do that. Gary?
I'm going to go with Paul Ellering.
Okay. Well, that's
2 and 2.
That's 2 and 2. I'll get the tiebreaker, and I'm going to go with Paul Ellering.
Oh yeah.
So, I got to go with Paul because, well, I've always been a Road Warriors fan.
Mm-hmm.
Precious Paul moves on. Okay. Teddy Long and Woman. What can you say about these two? Teddy Long started off as a ring builder in the old Omni in Atlanta. And they come up needing a referee one day, and they said, well, you've been here a pretty good long time working for us. How would you like to be a referee? He jumped at the opportunity. It wasn't long after that they came up with an angle where he got out of doing the refereeing and got to doing managing, and had quite a bit of great success doing so, enough to get himself inducted into a couple of Hall of Fames along the way. So as a manager. So, and Woman, like I said, she started off as a girlfriend of Rick Steiner in the mid '80s, with the angle that she was to turn on him and just destroy his whole world. So, and it pretty much worked, at least in the angle. So we're going to start. I tell you what, I'm going to give the Scotsman a break. Gary, we're going to start with you.
Teddy Long.
Okay. That's one for Teddy. Roll call.
Teddy Long.
That's two for Teddy. Sarge?
He was one of the more the more known referees every week too, wasn't he? Didn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't he go by? Was it Peanut Anderson? What was his name?
No, Peanut Anderson was the other guy.
That was a different one. Okay.
Yeah.
But he was one of the more known refs. I got to go Teddy Long.
Okay. Well, that leaves you, Scotsman.
Teddy Long, buddy.
That's, well, my vote's not going to count, but I was going to go Woman. Anybody that can manage Ric Flair is always going to get my vote. So, but like I said, my vote does not count, so we're going with Teddy Long. J.J. Dillon and Paul E. Dangerously, or Paul Heyman. Again, this is an interesting one. JJ managed the Four Horsemen: Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, Ole Anderson, Barry Windham, Lex Luger. The list goes on and on. If you were a horseman in the 80s, you were managed by James J. Dillon, and that includes guys like Sting. And if I'm not mistaken, that was just after Brian Pillman joined the Horsemen when he left. So there was Barry Windham. Yep, there was a lot of guys in there. Paul Heyman, Paulie Dangerously, call him whatever you will. Right now, he's the manager of Brock Lesnar. Everybody knows who Brock is. Before that, he was the manager of several other wrestlers and the owner of the ECW. He started that baby himself. So, and again, we will start with Gary.
I'm going to have to go with J.J. Dillon on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Roll call?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with JJ. He's got a great resume.
He does have a great resume. Sarge.
You got to go with J.J. Dillon because he would wrestle. He would get in the cage. He did it all.
Yeah, he took some hellacious bump. He was in the first War Games match.
Yes, but I mean, he was a little. I guess he had quit wrestling by the time he started managing, but he was a legit wrestler. He would go out. I remember he would wear that blue and red singlet when he would wrestle.
Yep.
He was good.
Yeah, but he was involved in that first War Games match with Dusty Rhodes and Road Warriors.
When the
Paul
cage
Eller
was too short, and they had all those troubles.
Yep. They didn't make it high enough.
Mm-hmm.
They changed it in the second War Games. They got a little higher. But still, I don't think it was high enough for them to do the things that they were trying to do. Let's see. That brings it to you, Scotsman.
There's no question, man. JJ.
Yep. Well, this was a blowout because I went with JJ as well. Okay, we're moving on to the other side here. Freddie Blassie, Miss Elizabeth.
Oh.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Scotsman, who are you going with here?
I don't know either one. I'm going to have to give my vote to Sarge again on this one. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
I'll take
Sorry.
it, and I'll tell you why. This is a really close one, but I'm gonna go with old classy Freddie Blassie, just because he just did a little bit more, and Elizabeth was well known and everything, but she was just kind of there. She didn't really say much, didn't really do a whole lot, but
I agree with you. Elizabeth didn't start getting involved really in the matches until she got to Nitro many years later.
and she was still very reserved.
Yeah. She was never, I don't think she was ever comfortable being in the ring or being involved in the matches.
No.
I just think she liked the whole idea of being Randy's valet / manager.
That was his actual wife, wasn't it?
Yeah, for a while. They divorced and they remained friends for many years. Roll call.
Didn't Miss Elizabeth get the snake put on her from Jake the Snake at one point?
Yes.
I'm gonna have to go with her because that was a big snake.
Huh?
Gary.
What you're saying is that she can handle the snake. And don't step on snake.
Exactly.
Yeah, no step
No
on
step
snake.
on snake.
Gary.
Freddie Blassie.
Freddie Blassie. And, well, I would have went with Miss Elizabeth personally because it's Miss Elizabeth. But, again, my vote is dead here. Next one's going to be a pain in the ass, I can tell you folks now. Jim Cornette versus Gary Hart. Here we have a guy that started in the 80s with managing, Bobby Eaton, Dennis Connery, Loverboy Dennis, as he was known back then, Sweet Stan Lane. Took it from there and started Smoky Mountain Wrestling. He his own little promotion.
I think he's still going, isn't he?
No, it's defunct now. It's defunct.
Isn't he still doing something?
Oh yeah, he's doing podcasts. He does weekly podcasts. I guess probably daily podcasts. I'm listening to his stuff pretty much on a daily basis. I'll spend 30, 40 minutes a day listening to Jim Cornette. I love the guy. I really do. He's puts things in a way that only Corny can put it. And some of the stories that he tells is absolutely remarkable. I mean, it's just crazy some of the stuff he comes up with that he lived. Some of the things that he's seen in the wrestling business. Talking about people chasing him down, trying to kill him because of something that happened in a wrestling match. Because back in the day, people all thought that stuff was real. They thought these people was really getting killed. It was, and I kind of wish they still did.
Did you ever hear Arn Anderson talk about the time they broke Dusty's leg in Atlanta in the Omni?
Yeah.
That it took him 30 minutes to get from the ring to backstage because the crowd was so out of control.
Yep.
Could not get back. They thought they were that was going to be the end of them.
Yep.
That's how real people thought it was.
I remember that angle. They got him in the parking lot, tied him to a tractor trailer.
No, that was the arm. They broke his leg in the Omni.
Yeah. Okay. I'm getting my storylines confused. They broke every part of Dusty's body on. Well,
that's when they followed him in, and he got out of that little tiny Mercedes. That was just silly.
Yeah. He had to wear the boot after that.
Yeah.
The loaded boot. I love that old gimmick. Okay, Jim Cornette, Gary Hart. Gary Hart has managed, like I said, the Great Muta, Cactus Jack, Terry Funk was involved with him for a while, I'm pretty sure. Dan Spivey, Sid Vicious. He had a lot of big names tied up with him, and had a pretty damn good run. I think he started in the mid 80s and ran until about the mid 90s.
Probably earlier than that.
And but he made it work. He made it work. And had some very big, popular world champion caliber names. In fact, several of them went on to become world champions.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're going to start with you, Gary.
Well, this is a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're at a crossroads like this, you kind of got to go with, you can't go wrong with somebody named Gary. So we're going to go with Gary Hart.
Okay. That's a valid choice. Roll call?
I'm going to pick Gary because I like Gary Gizzard.
Okay. Sarge?
I think you put two guys at the top of the bracket together in the first round because no one, and I mean no one, talks better than Jim Cornette.
Nobody.
None of them. And Gary Hart was very underrated. He was like Paul Ellering.
Mm-hmm.
He was very sophisticated in the way he was. I'm going to have to say that Jim Cornette just barely edges him out. But like I said, these are both at the top of the bracket. They should both go on to the second round.
Yeah, I agree. But, that was bound to happen in a bracket like this. You're going to have to put two top guys against each other early. And
I'm going Jim, though.
It's a good choice. And I'm not going to fault you for it at all. Scotsman?
I'm going to go with Gary, and it's not because Gary's in here, because it has nothing to do with damn Gizzard.
Well, my vote would have been Jim Cornette.
This is the shocker right here.
Yeah, this is a shocker. And I hate doing this. I really do, because I'm absolutely a huge Jim Cornette fan. Sorry, Jim, if you ever watch this. Wasn't my doing. You can blame the panel. Me and Sarge had you back. Okay, guys. Paul Jones versus Paul Bearer. Both great managers in their own right. One very famous for managing The Undertaker. The other very famous as a wrestler before he became a manager. And here's a little backstory on Paul Bearer. He started off with a friend of his in, I think, New Jersey, who went by the name of Diamond Dallas Page when he started wrestling. They were buddies. They were friends. They were pals. They started out together. So he kept good company. So let's run it through the room and see where this one goes. This is going to be interesting. Scotsman?
I'm going to go with Jones.
Number one, Paul Jones. Okay. That brings to you, Sarge.
These are like from the complete opposite ends of the era, but I'm going Paul Jones just because I knew him better, and like I said, he was a good wrestler, good manager, good character, liked him.
And he could talk.
Yes.
He could talk. Gary?
Well, I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm going to go with Paul Bearer on this one.
Okay. Well, roll call, I skipped you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Ooh, I got to pick Paul Bearer.
That was actually pretty damn good.
It was.
That was good. Man, he used to drive me crazy listening to him talk. And I would have went with Paul Bearer too, but Paul Jones is going to win this one out.
Huh? How do you think?
Because everybody voted for Paul Jones. Scotsman voted for him. Sarge voted for him. Roll call.
Roll call, and I voted for Paul Bearer.
Oh, well.
So it was two.
Roll call was making fun of you.
Oh, yeah, well, whatever. So who? I guess
I
it's left
voted
up
for
to
Paul
me.
Beard.
It's gonna. Okay, well then it's my choice, and I'm going to go with Paul Bearer. So Paul Bearer wins.
Oh, that's a good choice.
If I can get my keyboard to start working again. And for some reason, my keyboard has completely locked up.
I didn't do it.
Neither did I. I don't know what the hell's going on. There we go. Skanbar, Ekbar, and Jimmy Hart. I got a feeling I know where this one's going. We're going to start with you, Gary.
Jimmy Hart.
Yep. Roll call.
Allah Akbar.
Oh, that's a surprise.
Wow.
Sorry.
The mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
Scotsman.
Jimmy Hart.
I figured you was going to vote for the foreigner. I'm going Jimmy Hart too.
Jimmy Hart was damn good.
He also did some acting. Did y'all know that? Back in the early '90s, Hulk Hogan had a television show on TNT, and Gary Hart acted in it several times.
Is that Tropic Thunder?
Yeah, had Sting in it. So it wasn't a bad show. Wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. Okay, we're back on the other side of the map here. This one's going to be hard for me. This one's going to be real hard for me. Bobby Heenan, Paul Ellering. Scotsman?
Sorry, I missed that. Go ahead.
Paul Ellering or Bobby Heenan?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'm going to have to go Bobby.
Good choice. Sarge?
As much as I like Paul Ellering, you got to go with Bobby Heenan. He was quite brilliant.
I agree. Roll call.
Hey, Bobby.
Bobby Heenan. Gary?
Bobby Heenan.
And I would have also went with Bobby Heenan. So sorry, Paul. I love you, brother, but it is what it is. Bobby Paul. What am I doing here?
I was watching.
I was thinking Paul or
I wasn't going to say anything. I was just going to sit there and laugh at you as you typed it.
yeah, what the fuck am I doing? Okay, Teddy Long, J.J. Dillon. Gary?
Teddy Long.
Teddy Long, it's a good choice. Roll call.
Who's this?
Teddy Long and J.J. Dillon.
Teddy Long.
Okay. Sarge?
I'm going James J. Dillon.
You can't go wrong voting for the man that led the Four Horsemen. That's a fact. Held all the gold at one point in time in the NWA. Crazy?
I'm going to have to go JJ, dude. Again, Four Horsemen. You can't. It's just. I'm sorry, you can't go wrong on that one.
And well, I'm just going to do this. So it's done deal. Because I would have definitely voted for JJ over Teddy, and I love Teddy. Teddy was a great manager. Guys, it's getting awful tight in here at the moment. Freddie Blassie, Gary Hart. This is a toughie. Scotsman, it's on you, buddy.
I again, since I didn't know the first one in this bracket on this particular two options prior, I'm giving my vote to Sarge.
Wow. Okay, Sarge. You got 2 votes.
I'm going Gary Hart.
Good choice. It's 2 for Gary. Roll call.
You know I have to go with Gary.
Yep, I figured as much. Leaves you, Gary.
Gary.
And I would have went with Gary myself. Simply because of what he accomplished and who he accomplished it with. Well, Paul Bearer and Jimmy Hart. Gary, where you going, buddy?
I'm going to have to go with Jimmy Hart on this one.
Hard one, ain't it?
Yep.
Roll call.
Oh, you know you gotta go with the Paul Bearer.
Well, we're tied up here. Sarge.
Jimmy Hart.
It's 2 for Jimmy, 1 for Paul. Scotsman.
I'm sorry, roll call. Man, you're hilarious tonight, but it's Jimmy all the way.
And I would have went with Jimmy as well. So
You will all suffer from the Undertaker.
you are very good at that. You should have got a job in the WWE, dude. Okay.
I would have took it.
Now we are down to brass tacks. Bobby Heenan, the premier manager in the WWF in the 80s, going head to head against the premier manager in the NWA in the 80s, J.J. Dillon. Gary?
Oh, no way you can win with this one.
No,
Bobby Heenan.
That's a good choice. Roll call.
Damn it, Bobby.
Bobby Heenan. Sarge.
I gotta go with the 4 Horsemen on this. I gotta go with James J. Dillon.
Yep. Scotsman.
I'm sorry, I'm with Sarge. 4 Horsemen all the way.
I understand. And that leaves it up to me. Okay. You got a guy that managed Andre the Giant, Big John Studd. God, and how many other great wrestlers in the WWE, WWF at the time. Or you have the guy that led the 4 Horsemen. See, I've cut my own throat. I should have put these guys on opposite sides of the map. But I didn't. Shit. I got to go to JJ. I just have to go with JJ.
That's a stunner.
Yeah, I know. But what got me, what the final thing was this. They could both talk. They were both good at what they did. There was just something about the way JJ carried himself. He was smug. He was confident. You know, he wasn't afraid to take a very hard bump. You know, Heenan was also a wrestler, but I can't remember him taking bumps the way JJ did. Especially after he got out of the wrestling part of the game. I had to go with JJ. Gary Hart, Jimmy Hart. Battle of the Hearts. Crazy?
That's a tough one, but I'm gonna go Jimmy.
And Jimmy Hart. Sarge?
Yeah, you got to go with the mouth of the South on this one. Jimmy Hart.
Okay. Real call?
I like you, Gary, but this is where your name stops winning, and I have to go with the mouth of the South.
That's 3 for Jimmy.
Well, don't feel bad because that's the way I would have went too. Unfortunately, Jimmy Hart.
And ladies and gentlemen, I too would have went with Jimmy. Well, there's supposed to be an A in there somewhere. There we go. Well, here it is. This is the final. J.J. Dillon, the NWA top manager for many years, versus what the guy I would say was probably the second guy when it came to managers in the WWF at the same time, Jimmy Hart. This is going to be hard. Gary, we're starting with you, buddy.
Wow. I think I'm going to have to go with Jimmy Hart.
Not a bad choice. Roll call?
I'm going to go with Jimmy Hart because he's still around with his microphone yelling shit. So I'm got to go with him.
Okay. Sarge.
I'm going with Dillon because not only did he manage those guys, they said he lived that lifestyle too. He partied with them and he'd wrestle, take the bumps. I'm going with JJ.
Yep. Scotsman.
Anyone that can party, I got to vote for, so I'm going JJ.
Shit. See, I remember Jimmy as a heel. I remember Jimmy as a face wrestler or manager. He was a great heel manager. So was J.J. Dillon. J.J. Dillon just had something extra, though. I got to go J.J. Got to go with J.J. J.J. Dillon for the win, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. The top managers of the 80s to the mid-90 period, and J.J. Dillon has taken it. So says this panel of wrestling experts, or so-called wrestling experts anyway. Guys, is there anybody that you think we should have added to this that wasn't on here? Anybody? Sarge? Hello?
Is he miming?
I think he might be muted. Gary, is there anybody that you think we should have added on here that we didn't put on?
I think you got all the big names on here.
Well, there was a few that was left out.
Yeah, but I don't think they would have topped the ones you had on your list.
Yeah, I think you did a pretty good job of what you picked.
I mean, there was Scary Sherry. We could have put her on there. There was several others.
Sir Oliver Humperdinck.
Oliver Humperdinck, yes. You and I had that discussion before the show.
What was the other guy? Lord Alfred Haynes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Can't forget about him either. There was a lot of them. It's just, Diamond Dallas Page was actually a manager during that time frame.
So there's a difference between managers and valets too.
Yeah. Well, Diamond Dallas Page, I don't think would be happy with being called a valet. But
well, no, I meant with the list. We could have.
Yeah.
We could have.
Oh, if we were going with the top women in wrestling, good Lord, we'd have been here all year. Because there's been some great ones.
Baby Doll or Sunny?
Baby Doll was good, Sunny, but I was thinking more along the lines of Bambi or Moolah.
Are we talking actual wrestlers or valets?
Well, I was talking women in wrestling in general.
Moolah wrestled for like what, 60 years, 50 years?
Yeah. She held the title forever. Mae Young. Yep, Mae Young. China. And, despite what she ended up being, she was great in wrestling. She really was. You can't take that away from her. And the list just goes on and on and on and on. But
who managed Papa Shango? Who's that one? Was that still Paul Bearer?
No, I don't think Paul Bearer managed Papa Shango. In fact, I can't remember who managed Papa Shango.
I could have swore somebody managed him.
Huh. No. See, I don't claim to know everything about this, but I do know quite a bit about that time frame because I watched it religiously. In fact, I will tell you where most of the experiences I had with watching wrestling ended. I can tell you the last time I was actually interested in really watching wrestling. It was the last night that Nitro ever aired on TNT. When I found out that Vince McMahon had bought the WCW, I just lost interest right there because I knew what was going to happen with all those great stars from the WCW.
And that was the only thing that was real, was the war between the two companies.
Yep.
Then they took that away from us.
Yep. If anybody else other than McMahon would have bought WCW and got rid of a couple of influences inside the company that was destroying it from the inside out, Vince Russo, and that's a man I have absolutely zero respect for, is Vince Russo. I don't like him. I think that what he come up with while he was in the WCW pretty much sunk the ship. Why Eric Bischoff would give this guy or any chance whatsoever, I have no clue, but Russo killed it, in my opinion.
Eric Bischoff really knocked them down pretty bad, and then Vince Russo just destroyed it. I think he put himself in as champ one time, but who's the actor?
David. Yeah, David.
It was done. It was done at that point.
Yeah.
There's no coming back from that. There's no coming back.
It's just what he was thinking. I mean, if he was going to pull an angle like that, pull an angle with a guy that actually looked like he could do some damage in the side of a wrestling ring. Arnold Schwarzenegger, maybe. But not David Arquette. No, never. That was stupid from the beginning. I remember when they started bringing in the guys from outside the business to get inside the ring. They had Dennis Rodman in there with the NWO and
Karl Malone.
Yep. At least they were athletes. You can give them that. They were athletes. But David Arquette was what? 5'9", 5'10" tops, and weighed 160 pounds, soaking wet.
Yeah.
Any of those guys would have killed him. And even the most hardcore fan realized that there's no way that this guy's going to be a world champion. Period. Ever. End of story. You know, if they were going to run an angle like that, I'm sure they could have found somebody in Hollywood that would better suit that role than David Arquette. He wasn't a great actor to begin with. And taking a subpar actor and putting him in a wrestling ring is just. And, sometimes I think, okay, what they were trying to do is the same thing that Jerry Lawler did with Andy Kaufman. Problem is, it didn't work because David Arquette isn't Andy Kaufman.
No.
And no. There's just no way. They didn't have the time. Lawler and Kaufman set that stuff up months and months and months in advance. They knew that they had that planned out for a very long time, and they were very close friends. Everything they did from point A to point Z, they planned it out, including the stuff they did outside of the wrestling ring, outside the business. When they went on Carson, the big fight they had on Johnny Carson show, that was planned out. They knew they were going to do that. Carson didn't know they was going to do it, but they knew they was going to do it. Part of the show, part of keeping the business the way it was. Keeping everybody in the dark to the business. And David Arquette just could never pull that off, ever. He didn't have the physical ability. In a wrestling match, I think Andy Kaufman would have probably beat the shit out of David Arquette because Andy actually knew what he was doing to some extent. But yeah, that was the end of my wrestling watching right there, pretty much. There's been a few matches that I've taken interest in over the years after that, but very few. And nowadays, it's mainly just sitting and listening to them run their mouth. And that was always the difference between the WWE, WWF, and the WCW. With the WCW, NWA, you got more wrestling. With the WWF, you got more of that mouth running. I wasn't interested in that. Yeah, we needed the promos to push the storyline, but they didn't have to be, 10-minute long. You hear Dusty Rhodes' interview, promo about hard times after he got put out by Ric Flair and the guys.
That was the best interview ever.
I agree. I think Dusty Rhodes went over the top with the hard times.
Hard times.
Yep. That's one of my favorite Dusty Rhodes promos. And talking about promos, there were guys that could do promos that would just absolutely send chills down your side. Kevin Sullivan could do a interview and he would make you believe just by listening to him that he was literally the spawn of Satan.
He may be though.
Yeah, he just may be.
I think he's functionally crazy. I'm pretty sure.
Well, they said the same thing about George Animal Steel, and yet he's got a degree in psychology. Go figure.
Yeah.
Amazing how they can act. When you see guys like Ric Flair and you hear him talk, and Ric Flair was great on a mic, don't get me wrong, and he said it before, anything that he said on the mic, he did. If they said they were going to do it, they did it.
Yep.
You go to the Omni in Atlanta and say, hey, look, we're going across the street and I'm going to buy $20,000 worth of alcohol, and everybody's invited. That's what he did. He went across the street, he bought $20,000 worth of alcohol, and everybody got drunk, free.
I've seen him wrestle at the junior high in town here. That's what's amazing, is what these guys did when they go town to town back then.
Yep. Back when the old territory days. And the little towns that never see any wrestling now, or at least the big time wrestling, would get guys like Ric Flair and Randy Savage and, you know, Terry Funks. They'd get the Ricky Steamboats, the Kevin Sullivans, JYD, you know, the Moondogs.
Even back in my day, and I grew up in a town of 2,000 people, but we had Harley Race come to town.
Yeah, and it was a big
He was from out that way, wasn't he?
He was from St. Joseph, Missouri, not too far away. So
yeah, so I meant that way.
But just they'd come to these small towns and put on a heck of a show for the people, and it was just great. You didn't think you'd ever see something like that, and they would come.
And then, you know, and they might show up once every 3 or 4 years in one of these towns, but when they came, it was a big deal.
Now, true, they all came in the same vehicle, which we kind of thought was funny.
I think the Bushwhackers came to my city once, or outside my city.
But unless you live near one of the major cities, like me and Yankee was talking, they used to come to Bluefield, West Virginia. And I don't know how many of you folks know anything about West Virginia, particularly Bluefield, but it's a little bitty hole in a wall town. I mean, maybe 15, 20,000 people back in the day, I'd say. It wasn't huge by any stretch of the imagination. And they would come in there to the little Omni or Coliseum or whatever they want, Armory, and they'd put on a show, you know, and then they'd go to wherever the next little town they were going to stop in. And then the bigger shows would be like in Charleston or Huntington. And that Huntington was just way too far away for anybody to get to. So was Charleston. Charleston was about 4.5 hours from where I lived. So getting to Charleston from Big Sandy was not an easy chore, because you have to remember, in the county that I was born and raised in, there is absolutely zero 4-lane highway and nowhere to put a 4-lane highway. And if you'd ever see it on the map and follow the roads, it looked like they followed a snake through the mountains to make them. It's just one curve after another all the way.
Sounds like where I live now.
Yeah, hairpins and switchbacks. And, you know, one side you got a cliff going straight up, and the other side you got one going straight down. So, you know, what would be a 45-minute trip from, you know, normal distance took you an hour and a half because of those curves and the narrow roads. And when I say narrow, there are some spots where you pretty much have to pull over to let a big truck by, because there's not enough room for 2 vehicles on that one little road. And then that's what they consider the main road in McDowell County, West Virginia. You know, and you might think that, well, this is 2018. That's not possible. Well, I guarantee you, if you, like I said, you go on Google Maps and type in McDowell County, West Virginia, what you are going to find is not a stretch of 2-lane highway, and the roads that you do see are narrow and barely enough room for one vehicle, much less 2. And when I say pull over to let the other truck by, I mean just edge over, because there's not really a place to pull over because you got a ditch and then a straight up mountain.
Hey, well, you got some kinfolk out in the chat.
Oh, do I? Let's see. Let's see who's out there. I ain't even been paying attention. I've been talking to you guys. I'm looking, but I ain't a seeing. Let's see.
The very last one from Ohio Wolverine.
Hey, Outlaw, my mama is a Hatfield. My family is from Matewan. I know Matewan and I know Mingo County. So, son, I would say we probably related in some way, somehow. I would have to talk to you to figure out how we're related. But if your mother is in any way, shape, form, or fashion related to devil ants, then yeah, you're definitely a cousin somewhere along the line. So there's that. And small country, brother. Small country. Since I've been on YouTube, I've met quite a few people that could very well be family, and at least two that are, that I never knew about until I got on here. Apparently, me and Sean McCoy are related on my mother's side because, well, my mother was a McCoy, and everybody knows that me and Night Strike are related. So it is what it is. I've got family coming out of the woodwork never knew I had. Welcome to the family, brother.
It says Ezra Hatfield is his granddaddy.
Yep.
Descendants of Valentine. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Like I said, your cousin. Because Ed Devil Ants is my great uncle. There might even be another great in there. And on the other side, Randall McCoy was a great uncle. So, guys, I'm going to turn it over to the chat out here. If y'all do have any questions, feel free to shoot them. It can be wrestling related or anything else you want to talk about.
Was the fight between the Hatfields and McCoy really over a pig? That's my question.
Partly.
Partly.
Mostly, it was over land rights. But I like to jokingly tell people it was over a woman and a pig, and in the end, they both got ate. Yes, I'm always fighting with myself.
You just never say which one went first, right? The woman.
Yeah, exactly. Slim Jim, not a candy bar. I have to agree with you wholeheartedly. I think last night, Midnight Range TM flipped his lid. Why he would put a Slim Jim as a candy bar is beyond me, but
You're talking about
self-identified as a candy bar.
Sous chef.
Well, I think the fry chef finally just fry cook, I should say, finally just flipped his wig. Like I said, I don't know what he's thinking.
You're giving him way too much credit as a fry cook. He's a damn sous chef.
Yeah, well.
Well, you see, the thing is, we were all in a pre-chat and we were throwing out. He asked everybody to throw out names of candy bars, you know, so he could put them in the bracket. And I put in several, probably 6 or 7. And then just for a joke, I just typed in Slim Jim, didn't think anything of it. And then I saw he had the bracket and he had Slim Jim on there. And I'm thinking, what the hell?
So that was your doing?
I wasn't being serious. I was just screwing around. He threw it on there.
Next history.
Yeah, next time you'll know, because now it's official. It's done been put on Wikipedia.
Gotta see if it stayed on there.
It's
now.
The thing is, I don't even like Slim Jims that much. I'd rather have good old beef jerky anytime.
Well, you know, speaking of beef jerky, I got to get a hold of Zorro.
Did he ever get you your beef jerky?
Yeah, I'm still waiting.
Well, I've seen him several times this last weekend on different chats. He was all over.
Dude, yeah, he was on my chat last night, man. You should have been on there.
Yeah, I was on there. About the time you was signing out, well, just like always.
I know, you should have been on there earlier, and then you could have told him, hey, where the fuck's my beef jerky?
Yeah, well, you see, some of us do this thing called work, and we don't get home till late.
Yeah, let's not go there. I don't even want to talk about that shit.
I didn't figure you would. Rich White said to combine the Snickers with a Slim Jim. A caramel covered Slim Jim, I guess. That don't sound appealing to me. I'm sorry, but no.
No, what you want to pair a Slim Jim with is a nice piece of cheddar cheese.
Now, that, on the other hand, does sound appealing. That I could do.
That's good.
Room temperature cheddar cheese.
Yes.
Good old summer sausage. I love cheddar cheese and summer sausage. That's a sandwich right there.
I got a buddy out at work that makes his own summer sausage out of deer meat and stuff like that. God, that's good.
Well, you're just going to have to get him to send me some.
Well, it always gets ate so fast. There's never any left over.
And how much of it does the cat get?
Old cat don't eat it. It's too spicy for the cat.
The cat don't like summer sausage.
You know, when he was a kitten, he would eat just about anything I'd give him. He would eat pieces of like sausage off the pizza and, you know, pieces of cheese and stuff. He won't touch table food. And he doesn't want anything to do with it. Doesn't even drink milk or anything like that.
I remember when we were kids, we didn't buy dog food for dogs. The dogs ate table scraps. That was just the way we did things back then. And Mom had certain rules that you just followed, period. And one of those rules was you can give the dogs table scraps, but you couldn't feed the dogs off the plates. Because to her, seeing a dog eating out of a plate was enough to get your head cracked. So she'd always have a dish set out that's specifically for the dogs, and that's what they ate out of. If you set your plate on the floor and the dogs ate out of it, oh boy, she would raise hell.
My ex-father-in-law, he had a little Chihuahua running around in his house, and they never fed that dog food, but every time they would fix dinner, they would fix a plate for the dog, let it cool down, and set it down on the floor. He got a plate just like everybody else.
My cousin feeds their dogs like veterinarian made, like raw food and vegetables. These dogs eat vegetables. Like, I mean, you give the dog a carrot, it will sit there and eat the whole thing.
That raw food stuff, that's all the rage now. Supposedly that's supposed to be healthy for them.
Well, I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
In their natural state, of course, that's what they eat. They won't go into a restaurant and order.
It's extremely healthy. I used to make my own dog food. I used to make my own dog biscuits. I don't currently have a dog anymore. When I transferred my job and stuff, there was a lot of issues there. But prior to that, I used to make my own dog food and make my own dog biscuits and all of that stuff. And trust me, it's way healthier. Your dog will be 110% freaking better. If it has any kind of issues whatsoever, related to going to the bathroom or anything like that, it will improve them 99 times out of 10. Always going to improve them. It's amazing what it will do to your dog. Your dog will have so much more energy and just healthier. The coat's healthier, everything.
I don't want mine to have any more energy.
Who authorized this food chat? I did. I authorized it. This is my doing, my show, my food chat. No fry cooks were invited. Professionals only. and we are all professionals in here. I'm a professional dishwasher. Crazy Scotsman's a professional gun seller. Sarge is a professional police officer. Deputy sheriff. Roll call's a professional, whatever it is that he does. What do you do, roll call?
Yells a lot.
Yeah, he's a professional yeller.
I sell my body for cheap guns.
and Gary's a professional glow in the dark toy.
I suppose so.
So if you ever need artificial lighting, just call Gary. He's right there.
Yep.
Oh Lord. Yeah, but that's how we used to feed our dogs. I had a friend that he had this beagle. Beagle's name was Brownie. Good dog. She really was a good dog. And he would take he was a truck driver. He would take the dog on the road with him. If he stopped and got a double cheeseburger from McDonald's, this dog got a double cheeseburger from McDonald's. And they say that, you know, after a while, the dog starts resembling its owner. Well, I'm telling you, the longer he kept that dog, the more that dog started reminding me of Ronnie, because it got just as big and as round as he was. And I kept telling Ronnie, buddy, that can't be good for that dog to feed cheeseburgers and steaks the way you do. Well, that dog's healthy. Look at it. No, Ronnie, that dog ain't healthy. That dog is fat. That dog didn't walk, it waddled. It looked more like a duck walking than a dog. And she was a good dog. She really was. He never trained her to hunt or anything like that, but and she, as big as she was, she probably wouldn't have been much use for it. She was a good dog. Well, guys, I think we're going to wrap this one up. We've been going for quite a while now, ain't we? We've been going almost an hour. Rich White. At least not second round in any case. What are you talking about, Rich?
They're talking about, they said that the Slim Jim wouldn't have won except for the fact that it was making Too Hotty so mad, so everybody went ahead and voted it in just because he was getting so irritated over it.
Well,
I can't say you're wrong.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, y'all might have done it just to aggravate poor Too Hotty, but now it's become an official thing, according to Wikipedia.
He was getting unusually mad.
Is it there, Sarge? Is it still there?
I can't get Wikipedia to come up on my. I don't know what's going on. Whether it would be my internet, whether the site's down or what.
Well, let me check.
And because this chat's going just fine, but I cannot get Wikipedia to do anything.
Let's see here. Now, what was that under again? Candy bars?
I just looked up Slim Jim.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
Wikipedia.
Slim Jim.
Now there's no guarantee they took my edit.
Snack food. Let's see. Well, we're about to find out. Ingredients, product varieties, references. Let's see. External links. Let's see. Slim Jim beef jerky, Snap.
It was invented in Philadelphia? Wow. So it's a Pennsylvania creation. It's all Midnight's fault.
Let's see. Ingredients. I do not
It would
see.
be under history.
Oh, well, let's see.
There's no history section in this wiki. Oh, yeah, it is.
Yep. Here's the history. Slim Jim, invented by Adolf Levi's in 1929, Philadelphia. Raleigh, North Carolina. The product in 1990s. Lon Havens, Slim Jims.
Does mention Macho Man.
Yeah, it says something about Macho Man. Production
I
interruption.
check my edit then.
Yeah, they got rid of your edit, so it's not official.
They saw
It
right
is.
through it. I'll try again.
It's not official. A Slim Jim is not a candy bar.
It's still to be determined.
So, I guess Too Hotty got saved there.
Let's look at the. I'm gonna look at the history on it.
Let's see.
So, did we find anything else about the wrestlers that died yesterday? Like, what was the cause? Well, I know you told me some of the cause, but any more to that?
I haven't really looked into it today. I really have not. We heard what we heard yesterday, and then I just, as far as I know, and the Brickhouse Brown died. I'm not sure. I think they said cancer is what got him. Nikolai Volkov died. I'm sure that was also natural causes. Haven't heard the reason why. They haven't stated as of yet, as far as I know. But I guess they're going to rule Scotty's death a suicide.
I would think.
Yeah. So apparently he was alive until they got him to the hospital, and he died at the hospital.
Yeah, but that's pretty hard to come back from.
Yeah.
After the first couple minutes.
There has to be more to that story. It just does not make sense for it to happen. Because, Sergeant, you've been a police officer. Let me ask you a question.
Oh,
A DUI will get you a suspended license
immediately.
What? 30 days to in jail?
I would say I can only speak in generalities. In North Carolina, yeah, it's immediately civilly suspended. The magistrate takes it right there for being charged.
Okay, it's suspended for a year.
No, but then you can pay a restoration fee, and your license is reinstated. You lose it for 30 days from the time of being charged. Then you can pay your reinstatement fee, and you can drive legally until your court date because you have not been found guilty. But based on the probable cause, they suspend it for the first 30 days. But then you get it back, and then you can drive up until your court date. Then whatever happens at that point.
And at your court date, you could lose it for what? A year to life or whatever?
Well, there would have to be some extenuating circumstances to be permanently suspended, but typically I think it's a year or 2 years if you're found guilty. And then they can apply for limited privilege to drive to work because people, have to live. You can, if it's just the one mistake, yes, you can apply for limited privilege and be able to drive to and from work and like to and from the store and like that. That's it. Other than that, somebody else has to drive for you. So there are some ways to get things going again.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Somebody in jail, and
that DWI may have just been a symptom of everything else that was spiraling out of control.
That's what I'm thinking. There has to
just be a symptom.
Yeah, there had to be something else going on.
Yeah, not the cause. And people do silly things when they're impaired sometimes.
Yeah, and
it may not have just been alcohol. There may have been something else, and then people do silly things they can't come back from.
I'm not going to judge one way or another. It's not my place.
No.
But it's a shame. He was a great talent. Mm-hmm. He had many, many millions of fans across the world at one point in time.
He had one of the greatest entrances, the way he would come into the ring.
Yeah, he really did. And the chances of Jerry Lawler or anybody else ever listening to this show is slim to none. But I will say this: my heart goes out to all these families. I know what it's like to lose a close family member, not a son per se. But I could imagine that is heart wrenching. I lost a wife. I know what that's like. She was 18 years old and was taken from me in a split second. So I know what that's like. It's not fun. But my heart goes out to everybody, and it's a tragedy. Death is always a tragedy. Brickhouse died, like I said, of cancer, and that's the plague of the 20th and 21st century right there. Cancer. A true medical miracle would be them finding a way to cure cancer without destroying life in the process. And right now, and Scotsman can attest, we've got lots of YouTubers out there right now that's suffering from cancer or in the middle of that battle. And man, my heart goes out to all of them. I watched my mom die of lung cancer. My sister's had cancer, so it's one of those things that if we would put all the effort into finding cures for diseases that we've put into finding reasons to hate each other, we'd probably already have a cure for it. But that's just not the human nature. We always got to find something to bitch and fight about. So whether it be a religious belief or some line in the sand or something else, oil, But if we'd put it all behind us and start looking for cures for disease instead of, how we're going to fuck over our neighbor, it'd be a better world. But that ain't the world we live in. Guys, we're going to close this thing out. Scotsman, what you got? I bet his mic went out again. Sarge, you go ahead, buddy.
I appreciate the invite. I always like the wrestling talk. It's always fun because it makes me think of all the good times. When I was saying I saw Ric Flair in town, I had to get my grandmother to drive me to the police department. So that's where you had to buy your tickets, at the police department. So that's how intertwined this stuff was, because they would do it so the town could make a few extra bucks, and it was a lot of fun. It makes me remember all that. But I've got 2 videos I got to finish editing. One's a little tactical shotgun preview. The other one's comparing the CZP-09 and the Glock 34, because it's the 2 longer barrel 9mm I have. And then all my parts shipped today for my 18-inch AR I'm building. So I'm very, very excited about that.
I'll be looking for those videos, especially that comparison video.
Yeah.
That ought to be interesting.
It actually turned out really well. I just got to finish editing it. It's a little complicated because I was going back and forth so much, but I'll get it done. But you and Scotsman will be happy that I sold one of the guns out of the previous video to pay for this AR. So I have one less Glock.
Yeah, we know about that.
I have one less, so got the AR going.
Oh well, I can't wait to see that AR when you're done with it.
Yeah, I want 18-inch. I want a DMR, so we'll see how it goes.
I'm thinking about building an AR pistol, and I'm wanting to do it in a pistol caliber. So that's going to be my next project, I think.
You gonna go AR-9 or AR-45?
Well, that's what's got me up in the air. I've got 9mm and I got 45s. So, which one do you go with? 9mm, I can probably get more captivity out of it. I can go from 20, 25 rounds to 30, 32 rounds, depending on what kind of mags I want to go with. So that's a consideration. And then there's also cost of ammunition. 9mm is a lot cheaper than 45. So depending on what you're buying. And for that, I would probably just go with green and white box Remingtons.
Yeah. Just go AR9.
Yeah.
Get one that, and just make sure you get one that doesn't take like a proprietary mag. Get one that takes.
Oh no, I would definitely get something that, God forgive me, took Glock mags.
Well, I mean, because you can get the 33 rounders, I think that they make, and I've got some 31 round ETSs that they function flawlessly, and they're like $15. They're cheap and they work good. You know, may not want to take them to war, but they work good. So I look forward to seeing that. You will really enjoy an AR pistol. I've got a 223, and it's, you know, a 10.5-inch barrel, and it is a lot of fun.
Well, I had a guy ask me the other day, well, why 9mm? Why pistol caliber? Well, again, ammo cost, it's cheaper. You know, you can shoot it more. And if you was looking for something for you know, a bedside gun for inside the house, what better than a pistol caliber carbine? You know, in a format that you're already used to using.
And it'll have no recoil. It'll pick up a little bit of velocity with a longer barrel. It'll be fun.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe a 10-inch barrel. No, 10, 12. Nothing. I don't want to get anywhere close to 16.
I will tell you this. Save your money up or try to find one used. Find the SB Tactical. I think it's called the PWA brace. That's the one with the 2 rods that run up the side of it so you can adjust the length just right. That it's worth the money. I don't have one on mine, and I regret not saving up a little bit and getting it. It's just that's one you need to get. Trade around on it. Do whatever you got to do. That's the one you want.
I will look into that.
Yeah.
Now this will be my first pistol caliber carbine period ever. So I've already started looking into optics, red dots, because, well, that's just what I do. You know, I'll probably get something. I'm not going to put another SIG like I got on the rifle in there. I ain't paying $650 for another optic just to put on a pistol caliber carbine. I think that would be a bit redundant.
I go Hollow Sun.
Yeah, Hollow Sun, Vortex, something like that. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, Scotsman, back to you. What you got going on?
Same old, man. Same old. Work, and more BS.
Okay, well, that was quick, easy, and you got anything to plug other than you need to get drunk tonight?
Just guys, if you haven't checked out hashtag Help a Brother Out, please do so. We got a couple of guys in the community that need help to battle cancer. That's all I got.
Okay, brother. We appreciate you. Roll call. What you got going on?
Not a whole lot. I missed my Monday upload today because I really have nothing to do. But other than that, I'll be starting a new job, so there's going to be new hours. So for then, it's going to obtain some scheduling for my morning roll calls or the live shows that I'm on, because I think my new hours are going to kind of dip into it. So I'll have to get a hold of everybody that's I'm on their show, and then we'll have to work something out from there. But other than that, same old stuff, budget-minded crap, and then whatever else I find on the shelves of stores.
Okay. Gary?
Thanks for the invite as always. You know good and well, if you fire up a chat and I'm available, I am there always. Check me out at gizzardgary.com. I'd also like to throw in that right now a daily gun show's going on, and he's got it titled The Last Daily Gun Show. I don't know if that's true or not, but you might want to hop over there when this is done and see what's going on.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check that one out myself. Well, guys, this has been a good night, good show. I appreciate my whole panel for being here. I appreciate all y'all stopping in, saying hi. We'll catch you next week. I ain't got really nothing planned. I'm not sure what I've got going on next week. I do know this. I'm going camping again tomorrow. So chances are I'm not going to have a real good signal. You know how that goes when I get out there to the lake. I do what I can with the phone, but it overheats sometimes and signal ain't real good. So I will do something, try to get on for a little while. I might actually get rained out a little bit, but that's fine. I'll have a tent to sleep in, and I'll make the best of it. Until then, we will catch you guys later.